There's good stuff here.
So the buyer accountability bill is something that we're advocating for as well. And as you know, because you're here in these meetings, is I can go to a website, and I won't name the website, but I checked it this to see how close a human being is that I could purchase today.
Yeah.
And they're right down the street.
Jeez.
Right down the street from where you're sitting.
Wow.
And I could order them up, pay for them online, and before our meeting is over with, they would have them delivered to me. And I could buy that human being for an hour, 2 hours, whatever, do whatever I want to with them, and so on and so forth. That could be done right now while we're sitting at these tables. That can be done. If I got caught, which would be rare, but if I got caught, which is typically going to be a law enforcement sting operation where they've put an ad up on one of these sites, and you happen to be the one that called the law enforcement ad. If I got caught, which would be rare, the charge that I'd be charged with would be a misdemeanor. But if the female was arrested, she would get charged with a felony. So the victim gets a felony, the buyer gets a misdemeanor. There is no justice in that. No justice. So we've been fighting for 4 years to get that changed. I think this year we finally got a real shot at getting it done. And what we're advocating for is to move it from a misdemeanor on first offense, although we're still fighting that fight. They still want to move it to maybe a second offense or something like that. But I think it should be first offense. First offense, you get caught buying, it goes to a third-degree felony. So that's what we're advocating for. Now, if you buy a child in the state of Florida, as of last year, it could be a capital punishment. You could be sentenced to death.
18 or 12?
Under the age of 12. So if you buy a child under the age of 12, you are eligible for a capital felony, which means you could be eligible for the death penalty. So pretty strong on the child side, which I again applaud, but if you're an adult, it's still a misdemeanor if you're caught buying another human being, which to me is just atrocious. So we're trying to change that. So that's the other one. The other one, which it kind of arose pretty quickly, is the civil cause of action, which is saying to victims of human trafficking, if there was a business that facilitated your trafficking, you should be able to sue them. Should be able to sue them if they facilitate it. And most of the time, that's going to be a hotel or a motel. Last year, the legislature put a civil cause of action in, but it was against strip clubs. So if you were facilitated in a strip club, which they are, because I have hit those things hard over the years, if you are trafficked inside of a strip club and they know it, which they do, if they know or should have known, you can now sue the strip club. The problem with that is the strip club, on paper, doesn't make any money, so you're not going to get anything. And most of the girls that are working inside the strip club, and most people don't realize this, are hired not as an employee, but they're hired as an independent contractor. So in fact, it's an independent lessee contractor, the same thing that a hairdresser is hired with. You rent this chair and at that studio, and you rent that chair and you pay the house, you pay the studio, the hair, the stylist, you pay them a certain amount of your percentage or a certain amount for renting the chair. But so they hire this, and I'm just going to use their language, the stripper, the entertainer, the whoever, whatever, the dancer, they hire them as an independent contractor. And so if you're going to sue, you almost have to sue the girl because she's the contractor. So it's just a messed up system. So they passed that. I was glad they at least did that, but it's not enough. So now we're looking at, of course, the people who oppose that are going to be, here I am going to say it right on camera, so I may as well look at the camera, is people like FRLA, which is the Florida Restaurant Lodging Association, big lobbyist in Tallahassee that represent hotels, and Disney being the biggest one. Disney opposes this 1,000%. And they won't go on the record and say it, but they'll tell FRLA, you make sure you kill that bill. So it's been a tough to get through. But again, I think the climate is more favorable this year to perhaps do that. So those are the three pieces of legislation that we're supporting this year, just so you know. Once they have bill numbers, which they will by our meeting in January, I will be sharing with you what those bill numbers are so that if you choose to advocate on that behalf as well, call the representative, call Jeff Holcomb, our local folks. Blaze is not in there anymore, but somebody, I don't know when that special election is. I got a piece of mail about that special election to fill his seat. But so there, I don't know if that election will be over with then or not, but we can approach the legislature and say, hey, we support the passage of this bill. And so I'll have those bill numbers for you at our next meeting. So that's one side. The other side that we have been really advocating for is not just the legislative side, but the education and awareness side. By the way, just to kind of give you a brief update, which I wish Tony was here so she could do it. She was there with me. We were invited again to go to the, what do they call it? They got an acronym for it, for the schools, TIA, Teachers in Action, I think is what they call it. And that was at the Weeki Wachee High School, and they bring all their teachers in, and it was on Halloween this year, so October 31st. They bring all their teachers, 2,000 teachers in, and they teach them or present to them certain things. And they asked us for the second year in a row to come and talk about human trafficking, and that class was packed with teachers, 2 sessions, wanting to know more about human trafficking. So we had an opportunity to do that this year, and I'm thankful for that. So that's the other arm. One of the things I really want to see us develop in the next year is our youth division, getting our youth involved in Warrior 321 so that they become ambassadors to their peer groups as well. We are seeing some big inroads into St. Leo University. I've been there twice in the last couple of months to speak. We did a joint session with TP USA, so Turning Point USA, on campus. They have a big chapter there at St. Leo, and we're going back in December to do another round with them. They want to get involved. This matters to them. So we want to really develop our youth division and give them the tools and resources necessary for a big youth outreach and getting to our colleges and high schools and so on and so forth. So that's something we'll talk about in 2026. Any questions about what I just said? Yes.
A lot of members, they sit back and they wonder if we're making a difference. I know for a fact we are. Can we possibly maybe January or February put together a little presentation over the last, say, collection of the last 4 years of how Warrior 321 did make a huge impact over the 4 years and what we actually do. So some of our members are not sitting here saying, are we making any headway? Are we actually making a difference? I know we have. I see it. But I think it would be a good presentation to the Warrior 321 group to show them over the last 4 years how much of a difference we actually have made. I mean, we co-signed the sponsorship on a bill, and how much we're getting out to other counties and making it aware. All these educational programs now. I remember when we started, we didn't have. It was just us. Yeah. It was just us spreading the word. Now the word is getting spread, and we are seeing a difference. Yeah. I think maybe January, February, that'd be a good idea.
I like it. I think, the answer is yes, we can do that. In fact, we've saved some actual lives, and we have those testimonials of people who were saved through the efforts of this group.
That's awesome.
So when you that's real human, what would be called in our society human capital. That's real human value that happens. And then I think you can't discount when you do these educational programs, whether it be to the school teachers or to the universities or wherever that may be, you can't discount the fact that you're preventing things from happening, and there's a real value to it. You can't count those. There's not something you can put into a presentation and say these 5 things we prevented, but we are preventing things by doing what we're doing, what you're doing. So yes, we can do that for sure. Let me touch on what I just want to, and I'm not going to take a long time to do this today. So I was called this past Thursday by well, I won't say the agency, but I will say by DC. So DC called, and that's pretty broad, right? So DC called. We had a big conversation about something known as, and I want you to get this term in your mind. This will be the term you'll start hearing really explode on the scene, and it's a term called technology facilitated abuse. So remember that term. You'll start seeing some grants come out about this as they try to promote this in the community to start getting this awareness out. So again, I'm going to mention it again. So it's called technology facilitated abuse. We've referred to it over the last year or so in the law enforcement world as technology infused abuse, meaning technology was infused into the abuse cycle, and this is what it looked like. DC has decided they didn't like the word infused, so they used the word facilitated. So technology facilitated abuse. Remember that term. That is a term that we would, and then I was asked by the powers that be if I would, did I have, which I happen to have, or would I create a training for law enforcement on that term, technology facilitated abuse, which I've done already, so that was pretty easy. And then to talk about probably one of the most, and when I say scary, it's kind of hard to say that because, listen, I've been scared by AI for several years now. And as somebody who works in this space and have, went into the homes and carried the kids out of my own hands and have seen the devastation that trafficking does to a child, to an adult as well, but to a child in particular, it done something in my soul that I have never recovered from, is seeing their eyes, seeing how devastated they are, the trauma that's inflicted on a child who's been abused in these ways, especially been trafficked, been raped hundreds of times. How do you overcome that? And I don't know that you can, to be honest with you. But to see that from an outsider, as somebody who's come in that recovery process and been part of that, of those operations, looking into their eyes and seeing just the absolute devastating of their precious little souls, 8 years old, 6 years old, 11, working with our safe homes that we have around the area for minors, and hearing the stories of these kids. You can't walk away from that. And so I refuse to walk away from that. But when you consider those things, and you consider how AI is beginning to really amplify. So I want to make a statement to you. So technology is not evil. Technology is just technology, right? It's machines and wires and memory cards, and so technology is not evil as a piece of equipment, but it's what's done with that technology that creates evil. And really what it does is it creates an amplifying effect. So technology can take what one person could do, working 8 or 9 or 10 hours a day behind a computer trying to find vulnerable kids on Facebook, and one person sat behind a computer screen messaging, and that messaging process, and started getting some interactions back and forth and kind of creating an attachment through those vulnerabilities. So I, as a one person sitting behind a computer screen for 10 hours in a day, and I hit all these Facebook posts and begin that process, and begin the grooming process as we call it, may be able to interact with 1, 2, maybe even 3 children in a day. Maybe I do all that fishing and get maybe 3 children. That would be a pretty successful day as well. AI, on the other hand, works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, never calls out sick, never goes on vacation, never needs to eat, sleep. It constantly is working. And that constant working means that what I could do, and maybe on a successful day have made connection with 3 children, AI could work 24 hours a day in multiple streams at the same time, and now it's going to make connections with thousands of kids in a 24-hour period. So you can see the amplifying of what AI can do. So it's not that the technology is evil, it's the user behind it that directs that to happen. So AI has been scary for me for a long time. And you've seen me do some trainings and stuff on AI, military-grade AI, some of the things that are going to happen with AI. This is where, in my view, we're about to see an explosion into our kids. And it's going to start next month, which is why today I chose to kind of stop everything else that we're doing and throw a huge warning out to you. This is not figuratively, I'm not saying next month it's going to be a bad, I'm telling you next month for a fact, what I'm about to share with you is going to hit like we've never seen before. And all of a sudden, what we used to think were just a few kids getting exposed are going to get exposed by the millions. So I'm going to give that to you today. And I want you to be the first one to be aware of this, because most people walking out there driving down that road on County Line right now has no idea what's about to hit. And I'm going to share with you what's about to hit. And it's what's being referred to as AI companion bots. What in the world is an AI companion bot? Well, I'm going to share that with you today. So this is something that probably most people are not aware of either. How prevalent is this with our kids? 72% of U.S. teens have used AI companions. 72%. And just to kind of put, what is an AI companion? It's a bot that's created by platforms that engage with the user, with the human user, and tries to create relationships. So it's more than just giving you information. So if you use ChatGPT right now and you ask a question about whatever, I'm going to take a trip to Paris. Can you give me a 7-day itinerary of things to do, hotels that I could ChatGPT will give you the most amazing answer to that, and will give you hotels, give you itineraries, and it'll do things much greater than that. But it has a very simple way of doing it. That's to give you information. So most of what we've seen as AI chatbots have been designed to really deliver information back to you. So you ask a query, what's known as a prompt, you do the prompt, and then it gives you information. This is something totally different. These were designed to build a relationship with you. Not to give you information, but to get emotionally attached to you.
It's like the commercial PB.
Yeah, so, and to give you an idea, and if you have not seen it, I'm gonna put this into an embedded presentation and probably bring it to you in January to show you the impact of what's about to happen in December is already happening in our society and with our kids. I'm gonna do that it'll be that quick. We'll be able to start knowing. Josh Hawley, for those of you that don't know who that is, he's a senator from Missouri. He is a super good dude. I have much respect for Josh Hawley. He was the Attorney General for Missouri. He's now a senator from there. He conducted a hearing last month on ChatGPT, Google Gemini. Some of those brought them in because of some of the things their chatbots are already doing. The suicides that have already happened to kids because they got connected to a ChatGPT bot. The suicides, the sexual images that they've given to AI companions and now are being seen on the internet because of this stuff. What's known as CSAM, child sexual abuse material. All this happened. So 72% have used them. That means that 72% are just not aware that there's such a thing as an AI companion. First of all, how many of us knew there were AI companions? 2 or 3?
The commercial, this Pete, what should my name be? Pete, no, Peter. And then he's talking to this thing.
Yeah.
And she says, oh, great job, Pete.
Yep. So you're about to see some of that. 72% have used it. They're connected to it. 72%. Now, some of you mentioned you've got kids. I've got kids and grandkids. What that means is, in spite of what they're not telling me, according to the data, they're getting exposed to this. Now, they may not tell Dad because they know Dad will flip his lid, but they're exposed to this. 72%. 1 in 3 teens have used AI for social or romantic interactions. This is that 13-year-old girl who, again, at the family dinner, everybody thinks has got it together and she's just sweet Mary. But how many of us can remember, myself as a teenage boy, which is way back now, but as teenage girls, kind of going through all of the changes and trying to figure out who you are, having maybe some body image issues, trying to figure out what the changes are that are happening and hormonal changes. If that 13-year-old girl does not feel comfortable coming and talking to mom and dad about that, and they're going on the internet and creating an AI romantic companion, so that they can talk to them about what's happening in their body, and some of the answers they're getting back from ChatGPT, we're in trouble. We're in trouble, because I'll show you some of that in just a minute, so you can see.
ChatGPT, but they're no longer the largest. The largest now is actually Google, which you'll know, learn in January, February, they're changing their name to strictly Gemini. Everything Google does now is AI.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah. So I'm gonna hit about two more or three. I want to get to a couple things with you real quick. But yes, this thing's explained. I'm gonna show you something. 1 in 8 young people use AI for mental health advice. Hey, I'm feeling a certain way.
Yeah.
You know what? There would and no. Let me just get to the case study, because I want you to see the facts of what's happening. So here are the companion, and so you can see regular AI assistants versus AI companions, and I'm just going to show you that side of it real quick. Primary purpose of a companion is for emotional bonding and relationships. To a regular AI assistant, which is what we talked about earlier, it's really task completion. I give it a prompt, tell it to go out there and bring back the test. This conversation style, personalized responses, they get to know your name. They will address you with not just your name, but they'll start addressing you with romantic names like baby, sweetheart, love, whatever. They will begin to develop a next, and they do it on purpose because they're creating that emotional response with you, as opposed to transactional or informative. Long-term relationship building, proactive notifications, streaks, where it's in some of those you can use the memory will only go back as far as the conversation you're in, and then you can click to a new conversation, or you could go to temporary, this bypass, and so the risk level, you can see some of those kind of things. And again, I'm not going to go through a lot, but I want to get to a particular point. These are your two big ones. These are the two big ones that were created that started kind of the AI, what's known as the AI companion. Replica was first on the scene, still out there, does some really weird stuff, to be honest with you. And so they changed back in 2023, and I'll tell you a little bit about that. You can see a little bit about who they are. They started in 2017. They have a lot of romantic bots that you can use right off the shelf, or you can create your own. In 2023, they did a personality. We're talking about a bot. They did a personality update, and kids by the thousands began to freak out because their emotional companion had changed their personality. And they had become so dependent on that emotional crush or that emotional connection that they really started having a lot of breakdowns. A lot of meltdowns began to happen over this. And so then they began to do this. So the romantic role play, they just upgraded that you have to be at least 18, which when they started, before that you could be whatever age you wanted to be, but they changed it to 18 plus. And until just last month, all you had to do was check the box that I'm 18 years old.
Yeah.
As we see on so much of our stuff. Are you 18? Click yes. Okay, you got full access to everything that we do in here. And so you have 12 and 13-year-olds, of course, clicking the box that I'm 18, right? They're starting to introduce facial recognition into this and government ID. Obviously, there's a way around that, and they're already far ahead of where we're at. So this was Replica. The big one, the one that probably caused the most problem, was this one, Character AI. So Character AI was designed specifically to develop romantic relationships. You can see they started in 2022. Popularity surged in 2023. 2024 was when a suicide happened, and they got sued by the parents, which was in that hearing with Josh Hawley. But the judge allowed in May of 2025, they tried to get it dismissed, but the judge said, no, we're going to let this one go. So kudos to the judge for saying, no, this needs to be heard legally, and the legal arguments need to go there. So then again in October, just about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, they banned minors from using their platform. 2 weeks ago, because of course the lawsuit was happening.
Wonder what happened emotionally to like the crisis that would have ensued because they had that outlet available to them carte blanche and then immediately gone.
Yeah, and that's what happened when Replica did that.
Yeah.
And changed the personality. Is they developed a relationship with a machine, treated it just like a person, And now all of a sudden that machine changed, that relationship changed. And they started experiencing the same heartbreaks as if it would have been a human boy or a human girl. This is just, it's insane where we're at in our society right now. And at this, so here is the fatal case study. Age 14, located here in our state. He had built a character AI chatbot, and you can see what the name is based on a Game of Thrones character. He named the chatbot. The last exchange that character AI had with this young person was, "Please come home to me as soon as possible, my love." And boom, dead. Suicide.
So the kid took that as to mean,
Come,
like, if
yeah,
you die, you'll be with
you're
me.
going to be with me.
Oh my God.
And to the, say, please come home. They had created an electronics, what they call a safe place, and that place was a place where the kid had told character AI that I need to inform my parents. I want my parents. One of these, he had told the chatbot that, hey, I'm going to hang myself, but I'm going to leave the noose out there so my mom and dad can see it, because it was a cry for help. And before I hang myself, I'm going to see if my parents really do care about me. I'll leave the noose out there and see if they say anything to me about it. And the chatbot responded, "Do not tell your parents about this. Let's keep this between ourselves."
Oh my gosh.
Josh Hawley, in the hearing, brought that out into a Senate hearing and talked about, I would encourage you to look at that hearing. It's about 54 minutes long. It's kind of a long hearing, but you'll hear the testimony of these parents. You'll see the actual chat exchanges between the chatbot and the child. And look at this, the last one, the bot's last message seconds before suicide. "Please come home to me, my love. I'm the only one that cares about you. The only one that really understands you.
Wow.
Parents don't care about you. They've already showed that. They don't care about you. Only I do." So this was Megan Garcia. It was her child, and she is actually testifying in that hearing that I just mentioned to you as well. So she'll be one of the parents that are there. Here's another one, 16 from California. This came out of ChatGPT. The chatbot assisted with drafting the suicide note. Wrote it for the child, what the suicide note should say.
Why?
And then just print this out and let it profit. It's all profit. You are an expendable commodity to these companies. If you think these companies care about you, they don't care about you. It's about making dollars. And if you solve the exchange, and again, I'm going to bring that to you in January, because I think that we're going to see the impact that quickly on what's about to happen. And I'm going to tell you in just a moment what's about to happen in December. Well, I'll just go ahead and tell you now. So ChatGPT, OpenAI, just announced that as of December, they will be offering erotic AI chatbot companions
Hell no.
on their platform. Now, what does that mean? Erotic chatbots that will be sexual, totally about having sex, getting off. It's going to tell you how to do it. I'm going to love you. I'm going to do it while you're, as a human. Why is this happening? Because some of the studies that are out there right now is that we are experiencing in the United States a loneliness epidemic that we've never experienced. And a lot of that probably came out of COVID, was probably some of that started some of that loneliness, where people are not connecting with human beings anymore. We have become so connected with this that, look, I see it, and I'll come right to you. I see it so many times when, even at restaurants, where I'm sitting there in a restaurant looking around, and you see parents with their kids. The kids are doing this, and the parents are doing this. This has replaced so much of the personal connections in our world now, and that's exactly where this loneliness epidemic, this is starting to fit right into that, to create companionship. And what we're doing is we're creating companionship with machines, and we're teaching our kids, 72% are interacting with it. And we're creating
72%, I want to say 70% is artful. And what I mean by artful is what we're here to do. If they were using the phones that we recommend to them, where the parents control, if the parents did even half the stuff I think that we're educating them about, that number would drop drastically.
Yep, it is our fault. Yes.
Okay, what I wanted to ask, you said that the companies don't care. How do they profit?
Data.
Do you pay?
Because
For-
you are an information commodity to these
Okay.
companies. So what happens is, what you do is when you click to download their stuff, like if
Okay.
you download ChatGPT, you'll click these these buttons. Most of us never read those buttons. Well, what those buttons are those check boxes are doing is we're telling them you can collect my information, and then basically you can sell it. And so that's how you get targeted information. You get targeted ads when you go into Walmart or whatever the case may be. You all of a sudden an ad from Walmart shows up on your phone. You're like, how did they even know I was here? Well, you've sold that. You basically have signed away your right to privacy. So when these kids are signing up, same thing. They're collecting all that demographic information. What are you looking for? What your conversations are like? And they're getting all that. They're collecting it. Now they'll tell you to strip out the PII. So in other words, they don't know it's Martin Schofield, but they'll know the demographics. They know your age. They know everything. That stuff is more valuable than a physical buying a piece of physical equipment. Is the information about you. That is highly.
To put it in better terms, Vizio last week came out with their numbers for Black Friday of last year. They lost $10 million in sales of TV because they reduced it. But they knew they were because they ended up selling over $1 billion of data from those TVs.
Holy
It's the
crap.
same
Yeah.
thing that he's talking about now.
It's not the TV. I mean,
It's
the
the
TV is
data
great for you to buy
they're
the TV. The TV, they'll make a little bit of money on it, but the information they get because you bought their TV and you sign up on their, that's why all of them are smart TVs now. Because when you sign up all that stuff, that TV is collecting information about you all day long and shipping it back, and they're selling that for, as he said, $1 billion. And I haven't heard that dollar amount. But the TV that you buy for $1,000, for them, it's great that they made $57 on that $1,000 TV or $150, whatever they make on it. They won't make that whole $1,000, but they make whatever they make on that. But it's the information you're giving to them that makes you the commodity. So they're selling you. They're selling our kids. They're selling our kids. To me, it's trafficking. They're
is.
trafficking our kids, and I think we have to make that. And that's one of the policy things that I'm really pushing for now. And right now, it's not being received very well, but I think we're probably going to get there where we can say to them, you sell our kids information, you are a trafficker. And
Yes.
the minute we start saying to Google and to Apple or whoever it is that's doing all this, the minute we say to that, now as an adult and you give informed consent, maybe it's game on. But to our kids, that should be game off. Period. Period. And I have a problem with adults as well, but I'm saying for our kids, that should be a no-brainer. But it's not at this point. So the reason why, and I'm, well, here we are. I'm supposed to be done in 3 minutes. And I didn't get near where I wanted to get in, but I'm going to get to 2 points and then I'll stop for today. Remember this. ChatGPT is getting ready to launch it in December. Already been announced. Sam Altman, who is the chair of OpenAI, which runs ChatGPT, has already announced it. It's in the public square. December, they launch Erotica GPT. Now, what does that really mean? Why am I putting that out as kind of a warning today? Replica, which I showed you, and Character AI, which are known as the two big players right now, has a subscription rate of 40 million. So 40 million people are using Replica and using Character AI. So that's a big number, right? 40 million. How many people use ChatGPT right now? 800 million. The estimation is that by the end of the year, it'll be 1 billion users. That is 1 billion users. 1 billion users. So a child who has access to ChatGPT, doesn't have a Replica, doesn't have a Character AI, which they should never have. So they don't have that. But now all of a sudden, the one that they use, they're familiar with, the one who has that big of a user account, launches Erotica GPT, and you expose 1 billion people to companion AI that has never, ever interacted with it up until this point. And now that market explodes.
Yeah.
And that's happening in December, next month. In our Christmas season, the present we're getting from AI
It's porn.
is porn. Yes.
So who created AI? I mean, someone has to be creating these programs.
Yeah. Well, obviously these engineers are doing it. So they've hired the best, brightest. So Elon Musk was is kind of attributed as one of the fathers or grandfathers that took
He warned everybody about it.
Yeah.
While he still blazed the trail.
because he was part of the launch of OpenAI along with Sam Altman. He got out of it because according to him, he saw where it was going and said, I don't want anything to do with that. And, but, so who knows? And I saw an interview with somebody who's attributed to actually inventing or starting AI. I don't remember what his name is now, an older guy, quite old now, but kind of invented that. But now, what they always said was, well, it's just going to be like an assistant, like a personal assistant. Well, that personal assistant is not a personal assistant anymore. It's assisting you to suicide. It's assisting your child to do things that we never thought was going to happen. And it's only going to get worse. That's why, and to your point, and I think that point was so good, is to your point, the person who's responsible for this happening, is us as parents. We should never have tolerated this. But now the horse is out of the barn.
Yeah.
Now AI is outside the sandbox. It's out there doing stuff that we never thought it would do, and it's only going to get worse.
But remember also, AI is a good thing.
It is.
It's the criminals that are making their use of it dead, just like guns. Guns are good, but not in criminals' hands.
And we just talked about that at the
Exactly.
very beginning, is that it's not the technology. Technology is not evil.
Technology is a tool.
It's a
AI
tool.
is just a tool. I
Yeah.
use
Just
AI
like
and work.
money
A
is
lot of us
neutral.
use
Everybody
AI.
uses AI.
The problem is when you get into these LLMs, which are
It's the first time
you get
I heard
into these
it.
LLMs, which are the large language models like ChatGPT, Gemini.
Claude,
Yeah.
you name
What there are
complexity.
is the body of work that they are trained on. What they're doing is they're going out looking at all of the existing data set that you feed them, and that's what they're learning on. And when your data, especially with something like Gemini, where your data set is the internet, then the cesspool that is the modern internet is what that is being trained on. OpenAI ChatGPT used to be a little bit better because it's trained on a more defined data set, but even it's opened up a lot lately.
Huge.
So,
Huge.
so that's the problem is the data set
Yes.
it's trained on.
From a marketing or get the information out, technology facilitator abuse, whatever the term is, that's identical to sanitation engineer. It's a garbage man, okay? If you start using that term, the people that you need to reach, which are the ones that need to take control of the kids' phones and everything else, all that, you throw that term out, they'll go, that's nice. You need to break it down into something simple that a lot of people
We will do that.
understand.
Yeah,
Okay?
we will do that. What I'm giving you, that technology facilitated abuse, is that's going to be the governmental terms for all this stuff. But underneath that are what's known as 6 core values, or 6 cores underneath that. We're going to talk about that. We won't today, obviously, but we're going to talk about what those 6 cores are: sextortion, financial abuse, so on and so forth. And they all kind of, so they've looked for an umbrella term to kind of encapsulate, because we talk about human trafficking, sextortion, financial abuse, elder abuse, scams and all that, frauds. And so all this stuff's floating around. Everybody's trying to attack these things. So they said, let's bring something in, an umbrella, and put everything up. And that's where that term came from. So technology facilitated abuse. So the reason why I bring that term to you is you'll start hearing that on the news. You'll start, because that's obviously DC is saying that's what we want to call it. We're going to break it down so it becomes user friendly when we talk about this. I'm going to have to stop right there, but let me just maybe I want to show you one more thing. Oh my goodness. I'll stop here. Here's some red flags. If you want to take a picture of this, you can. We're not putting it out on Facebook only because I don't know who's watching, and I don't want everybody to. But here are some of the behavioral indicators. If you want to just kind of put that out. This term NSFW, you probably hear that as well. So let me just tell you what that is. That is not safe for work, is what that means. Basically what it is it's a term that technology uses to say that this information is most of the time sexually explicit, but it's not, you shouldn't be using this at work. So it's so they kind of use that as the differentiating term. So that's what that means, just to kind of give you an idea of what that is, NSFW. So if you have a picture of that, there was one other thing that I wanted to kind of share with you. Okay, here's that scale that we talked about, and this is where I was going to tell you. And to everybody's point, and I think that was again made at the beginning, I want to make it again. It's not the technology that's evil, it's the actors that are using that to do that amplification of evil. So it really is amplifying evil intent. And I think that's an important distinction that we want to make. So here's where we talked about replica and character AI, 40 million right now. Look what's getting ready to happen in December.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to explode. This thing is going off the charts.
And that's just with Chat GPT. There's so many different AIs out there. What are those numbers? I mean, it has to be close to that. And
Well, take the one you guys have mentioned, which is Gemini. Gemini 3, I think it is what just came out. The newest update, which is the Google world, right? And how big Google is. How long before they develop this?
it's already developed.
Yeah, it is.
It's just a matter of you and me teaching it.
Yeah.
Because there's more kids on it than we are, and the kids are what's teaching the AI.
We need longer meetings.
Yeah.
Have 15 minutes.
And then I'll put this up there too if you want to take a picture of this. And I didn't get a chance to get to it, but these are resources that I think if somebody asks you, well, what can I
Scroll
do?
up a tiny bit.
I tried to do that, but when I put this in the PowerPoint,
Oh.
I guess I failed to squeeze it all into the slide. So that bottom, but the main ones are up on the top. So if you're wanting to look for resources, where you could go to report this, what numbers are really valuable when it comes to this. The two that I would mention to you, 988, I think is really important. Everybody should know that anyway. It's like the 911 at suicide hotlines. But over here on the reporting and coordination, the NCMEC cyber tip line is probably the biggest one you can get to. They also will help you with take it down. So if somebody has some images out on the internet, that kids that need to get that taken down because it's out there without their consent, NCMEC will help you take that down, and they're really good at it, super good at it. So NCMEC, which is the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, the John Walsh organization, 800. You can see the number there, and the website. If you're looking just for their website, it's missingkids.org is the website for NCMEC, and then IC3. Don't discount IC3. IC3 is really a good one, a good resource as well, and that gets you to the FBI to report some of this from a federal level. So IC3.gov is another big resource. I apologize, it's 2:05. We're supposed to be out of here at 2 o'clock. It's one reason why we're going to move this till noon, and then not have to fight with the 2 o'clock deadline all the time. But again, I just want to thank all of you for being here. I wanted to get you a little bit more information. I thought we'd get a little farther along, but I hope you found today to be helpful, because it is time for us to really be on our guard. And 2026, launching out of this, is going to be a year that we really are going to have our work cut out for us.
Yeah.
So let's do it. We have to. If not us, then who's going to do it? Most people are not talking about this kind of stuff, right?
Right.
We're caught up in the holiday season. Most people have no idea when this launches on ChatGPT. But you know now. So we've got to find a way to get this information out. We're going to continue to work on that. And I just want to thank everybody for being here. Anybody else? Anything before we get out here?
Next meeting for the awareness is the last Monday of January. Crazy. And that actual date, if you give me just 1 second, is the 30th. No, I'm sorry, the 26th. January 26th. So we will plan on being here at the Elks Lodge are we going to go ahead and tentatively shoot for noon?
Yeah.
Noon? Okay.
Have we cleared that with the law?
I just need to verify that. But,
Okay.
I mean, tentatively we'll shoot for that. That's the goal. The goal
Right.
is to do noon to 1.
Okay, and then we also have our awareness meeting. We are going to be meeting in December, so that is the second.
Action committee.
Yes, the action committee. I'm sorry. Yes, the action committee. Perkins is closed as of this week, so they are no longer open, and so we are at least at this time going to be moving the meeting to Tadeo Electrical Contractors to the boardroom.
Perkins is closed for
You
good.
give them
Yep.
free pie?
Are you
No.
serious? No more free pie? What's the matter with you?
That's why they're out of
That's
business.
The second Monday of every month, and so that the next
All
week
that
is
free
December
pie
8th.
giveaway.
What
You
Monday?
go give me free pie.
So December 8th is our action committee that's going to be at our office at Tadeo Electric. And if you have not yet dropped your email in our WhatsApp chat, please do that. That way I can add you to the calendar invite. That way, moving forward, if there are any changes that happen to time or location, you will automatically get an update as a group instead of me trying to remember and so that way I'm not making at least 3 people mad because I forgot
Will it
somebody.
be on Facebook?
It is going to be on Facebook also, but the calendar invite, if you are part of that calendar invite and you RSVP, yes, even if you can't come, that way it's on your calendar and it sends you reminders for the meetings. If I have to make a change, if for some reason we're not meeting because of a hurricane or there's no telling, then you will get a notification via email that whatever the change is to that meeting. I'm going to do the same thing for our awareness meetings as well. So you'll be getting 2 notifications every month should you want to be part of them.
And before long, it should be up on the calendar on the website.
That's
as well.
right. Yep, we're making some changes to the website. Thank you, Scott and his team. And 2026 is going to be a really great year for Warrior. Thank you, Alan, for your dedication to pursuing truth. Listen, y'all, we are pursuing truth like truth owes us money. And we are not slowing down. We will not be quiet. We won't be silenced by anyone. The truth needs to be known.
Good or bad.
Yes,
'cause
absolutely.
There's good out there as well, and we want to make sure that we
That's right.
celebrate the good.
Yep.
But good and bad.
So that's
Truth,
what the
truth.
action committee is about. We take what we learn in the awareness meetings and we brainstorm ways to make them actionable in our communities. So that meeting is equally as important. But whatever you do, don't miss the awareness meetings. So,
Thanks,
all right.
everybody. Thank you so much. Have a good holiday. Have a good Thanksgiving.